Hello. Good evening, everyone. Can all of you hear me? Okay, great. Welcome to IIMTS and thank you for attending today's class. I hope my voice is clearly audible to all of you. So the topic that we will be learning today is tariffs and non-tariff barriers to trade, or tariffs and non-tariff barriers to international marketing. So first of all, what is a tariff? Can anyone tell me what do we mean by the term tariff, and why do we use them? The rates, tax, yes, they are tax, not the rates. Why do we use them, and why is it required? Anyone? Why do we use tariffs? To control the import and export. See, international trade increases the number of goods that domestic consumers can choose from, right? Or it decreases the cost of those goods through increased competition and allows the domestic industries to ship their products abroad. While all of these seems beneficial, free trade is not widely accepted as completely beneficial to all the parties. Right. First of all, let's see what is a tariff. Tariffs or custom duties are taxes imposed on foreign goods and services. No sound. Can all of you hear me? Seher cannot hear me. Okay, it's working now, fine. Let me write down the definition of tariffs first. Quickly. Yeah. What is a tariff? In simplest terms, a tariff is a tax. It adds to the cost of imported goods and is one of the several trade policies that a country can enact. Now, one more question arises is why are these tariffs and trade barriers used? Why do we use them? There are a lot of reasons for which we use them: to control the trade and income. Any other reason? Safety can also be one reason, because the country peoples should know that the product into their country are not the explosives or any other harmful. So let's see these reasons in detail. Each of these reasons in detail. Okay, let's read this. Can all of you see what I've written with a purple color? Okay, let's read it together. Tariffs are often created to protect infant industries and developing economies, but are also used by more advanced economies with developed industries. Here are 5 of the top reasons why tariffs are used. Number 1, the first reason, protecting the domestic employment. Protecting domestic employment. The application of tariffs is often highly politicized. The possibility of increased competition from imported goods can threaten the domestic industries. These domestic companies may fire workers or shift production abroad to cut the cost, which means higher unemployment and a less happy electorate. Electorate means the peoples. The unemployment argument often shifts to domestic industries complaining about cheap foreign labor and how poor working conditions and lack of regulation allow foreign companies to produce goods more cheaply. In economics, however, companies will continue to produce goods until they no longer have a comparative advantage. Import tax in India for gold. Yeah. Right. So, one of the biggest fears the government of those companies is unemployment, right? There's a possibility that the companies can go to some other country where the labors are cheap and set up their plants over there or industries over there, right? So that is one of the reasons why the government put these tariffs, so that the organizations stay in their own country and provide employment opportunities to the peoples of that same country. Clear? Number 2, protecting customers. One second. Here. Yeah. Number 2 is protecting customers. How does they protect their customers? A government may impose a tariff on product that it feels could endanger its population. For example, South Korea may place a tariff on imported beef from the US if it thinks that the goods could be tainted with disease. Right? So another challenge with the administration is that the products which are importing in their country should not be harmful for their own peoples, right? So like the example over here, they have given of beef. The beefs are imported from US into Korea, but there is a very high possibility that those beefs are not disease free. There might be some diseases in it, right? So this could be another factors. Number 3, infant industries. Does all of you understand the term infant? INFANT? Does all of you understand the meaning of infant? New, yeah. The new company. The startup companies, like in technical terms we used to say, startup companies. Startup companies. Startup companies. Okay. The use of tariffs to protect the startup companies can be seen by the import substitution industrialization strategy employed by many new developing nations. The government of a developing economy will impose the tariffs on imported goods in industries in which it wants to foster the growth. This increases the price of imported goods and creates a domestic market for domestically produced goods while protecting those industries from being forced out by more competitive pricing. It decreases unemployment and allows developing countries to shift from agricultural products to finished goods. Criticisms of this sort of protectionist strategy revolve around the cost of subsidizing the development of infant industries. If any industry develops without competition, it could wind up producing lower quality goods, and the subsidies required to keep the state-backed industry afloat could sap the economic growth. Right. So there are many startup companies who imports the goods from some other countries. Right. So the government makes sure that there is enough competition among the startup or infant organizations so that the products they produce would be of good quality, right? And there should be a variation in the products they produce, right? Like not only agricultural products but also finished goods. So this could be another reason. Reason number 4. So any doubts till now? Any questions? Okay. The fourth and the most important reason could be the national security. Barriers are also employed by developed countries to protect certain industries that are deemed strategically important, such as those supporting the national security. Defense industries are often viewed as vital to state interest and often enjoy a significant level of protection. For example, while both Western Europe and the US are industrialized, both are very protective of defense-oriented companies. Now, if we think in national interest, right, there are industries in the defense sector. Defense sector means the industries who make these guns or equipment related to armies, right? So the government makes sure that all the goods which are imported should not be a threat to these defense industries because they work for the national interest, right? So this is the fourth point. And the last one is retaliation. Countries may also set tariffs as a retaliation technique if they think that a trading partner has not played by the rules. For example, if France believes that US has allowed its wine producers to call its domestically produced sparkling wines champagne, a name specific to the Champagne region of France for too long, it may levy a tariff on imported meat from the US. If the US agrees to crack down on the improper labeling, France is likely to stop its retaliation. Retaliation can also be employed if a trading partner goes against the government foreign policy objectives. Right now, this technique can also be used as a strategy to deal with other countries. Right, like the example they have given over here, like the US has started this name champagne, but it came to know that Champagne is already a region in France, right? So they can't use that name. So to tackle US, the France has imported meat from the has put a heavy tax for importing meat from United States to counter that champagne strategy problem, right? Now, if the US agrees to crack down on agrees to stop that champagne labeling, France will also stop these tariffs, right? And if they don't agree, they will continue to impose the tariffs as a retaliation. Retaliation can also be employed if a trading partner goes against the government policy. Right? So if some country or some organization goes against the policy, so this method can be very helpful. Any doubts? Okay, then let's come to the PPT. Introduction. International trade policy deals with the policies of the national government relating to exports of various goods and services in various countries, either on equal terms and conditions or on discriminatory terms and conditions. Trade policies also aim at protecting the domestic industry from the competition of the advanced countries through imposing quotas and build competencies by providing the subsidies. So, instruments of trade policy, we have one tariff and one is non-tariff trade policy. What are tariff barriers? It refers to the tax imposed on the goods when they enter or leave the national frontier or boundary. What is the purpose of tariff? I already discussed, to protect the domestic industry by increasing the cost of imported goods. For example, GOI means Government of India imposed tariffs to protect domestic automobile industry, sugar industry, cement industry and steel industry. Now let's come to the important part, the types of tariffs. We have various types of tariffs. So let's go through them. Okay, one second. Yeah. Let me write it down. Yeah. So types of tariffs and trade barriers. There are several types of tariffs and barriers that a government can employ. So we have specific tariffs, we have ad valorem tariffs, we have the licenses, we have the import quotas, we have voluntary export restraints, local content requirement, specific tariff, right? So let's see what each of them is. So let's start with specific tariffs. What is a specific tariff? A fixed fee levied on one unit of an imported good is referred to as a specific tariff. This tariff can vary according to the type of good imported. For example, a country could impose a $15 tariff on each pair of shoes imported, but impose a $300 tariff on each computer imported. Right? Now suppose all of us are familiar that the Apple products are cheaper in US. Now, if you are bringing, suppose, say, an iPhone Plus from US to India, or an Apple MacBook laptop from US to India, it's not that you can you can bring it directly to India, you have to pay some specific tariffs to the custom department, right? So they charge a certain percentage of the MRP, right? So for each product they have different tariffs. That is called the specific tariffs. How many of you have given specific tariffs when traveling from one country to another, or when importing some product from some different country to UAE? Okay, Nixon has given the specific tariffs. Prabha also given. Okay, good. Next is ad valorem tariff. The phrase ad valorem is Latin for according to the value. Right? This means according to the value, and this type of tariff is levied. Levied means imposed on a good based on a percentage of that good's value. An example of an ad valorem tariff would be a 15% tariff levied by Japan on US automobiles. Because the 15% is a price increase on the value of the automobile. So if any vehicle costs $10,000, its new cost will be 11,500 to Japanese consumers. It means that 1,500 will go to the government as a tax. This price increase protects the domestic producers from being undercut, but also keeps the prices artificially high for Japanese car shoppers. Right, so this is ad valorem tariff, where a certain percentage is fixed for bringing any product from some different country. Here in the case, in the example, they have showed off a car. Suppose if any car is imported from US to Japan, the Japan has a fixed tariff of fixed piece of 15% on the market price. Right, so it makes the cost 11,500. Clear, everyone? So this is what we mean by ad valorem tariffs. Now, non-tariff barriers to trade include: what are the problems related to international trade which does not include the tariff, non-tariff barriers? Can anyone tell me what can be the non-tariff barriers? Any guesses? No one. Okay, let's read it. Can all of you see in green color? Okay. So non-tariff barriers to trade include: number one, licenses. A license is granted to a business by the government and allows the business to import a certain type of good into the country. For example, there could be a restriction on imported cheese, and license would be granted to certain companies, allowing them to act as the importers. This creates a restriction on competition and increases the prices paid by the consumers. Right? So for importing any item, the license is all the importers needs to have a license for importing any goods, right? And these licenses are given by the government of that country. Next, import quotas. An import quota is a restriction placed on the amount of a particular good that can be imported. This sort of barrier is often associated with the issuance of license. For example, a country may place a quota on the volume of imported citrus fruit that is allowed. Right now, for importing any product, the government has set a fixed volume for importing any product for each importer. Right, like suppose if you are importing a carton of fruits in suppose say from US, right? Then there is a certain limit, like up to 500 kg or 1000 kg you can import, not beyond that each month, right? Next, so this is this is also a barrier, because liquor 3 bottles per person, yes, right? So this is a barrier to a businessman who is willing to import as many units as he wants, but he is restricted from that. This can work as a barrier. Next one, voluntary export restraints. It is also known as VER, voluntary export restraint. This type of trade barrier is voluntary in that it is created by the exporting country rather than the importing one. A voluntary export restraint is usually imposed at the behest of the importing country and could be accompanied by a reciprocal VER. For example, Brazil could place a VER on the exportation of sugar to Canada based on a request by Canada. Canada could then place a VER on the exportation of coal to Brazil. This increases the price of both coal and sugar but protects the domestic industry. Very good example. Right, now here they have to exchange the import services if they are importing from one country to another country. Like Brazil needs sugar, so they import it from Canada, and Canada needs coal, so they import it from Brazil, keeping the interest of the local or domestic peoples in mind. Clear? This is voluntary export restraint. Next, local content requirement. Instead of placing a quota on the number of goods that can be imported, the government can require that a certain percentage of a good be made domestically. The restriction can be a percentage of the good itself or a percentage of the value of the good. For example, a restriction on the import of computers might say that 25% of the pieces used to make the computers are made domestically, or can say that 15% of the value of a good must come from domestically produced components. This is so these are the non-tariff barriers. Now one question arises, ultimately who benefits from all these? Who benefits from these tariffs? And who are affected? Anyone? Government and the domestic producers and the consumer at the end, people of the country, okay? Industry and people of the country, okay? Okay, good point. Let's see. Let's read it. Yeah. Can you see? Can all of you? Okay. Who benefits? The benefits of the tariffs are uneven. Because a tariff is a tax, the government will see increased revenue as imports enter the domestic market. Right? One of the beneficiaries is the government. Domestic industries also benefit from a reduction in competition since import prices are artificially inflated. Unfortunately for consumers, both individual consumers and the businesses, higher import price means the higher price for the goods. If the price of steel is inflated due to tariffs, individual consumers pay more for the products using steel and business pay more for the steel that they use to make goods. In short, tariffs and trade barriers tend to be pro-producer and anti-consumer. The effect of tariffs and trade barriers on business, consumers and the government shifts over time. In the short run, higher prices for goods can reduce consumption by individual consumers and by business. During this time period, business will make the profit and the government will see an increase in revenue from duties. In the long term, business may see a decline in efficiency due to a lack of competition and also see a reduction in profits due to emergence of substitutes for their products. For the government, the long-term effect of subsidies is an increase in the demand for public service since increased prices, especially in foodstuffs, leave less disposable income. Right? Now, how does the tariffs affect the prices of the product? Can anyone explain me this? How does it affect the prices of the product? Think about it. It will not go below the base rate. Okay, for imports, the prices will be higher in comparison to domestic product. Okay, it's directly linked. If tax is high, price of the goods is also high. Okay. It will increase the price of the good imported. Okay. Any other reason? For imported product, the importer has to pay money against the imported goods and therefore the price of imported goods automatically increases. Okay. Domestic product price may decrease. Okay. Let's see. Read these two paragraphs. Let me upload the image. 1 second. One second, I am uploading one figure. Yeah. Can all of you see the graph? Okay. Now I will show you graphically the figure, both the figures, the price without the influence of a tariff, the graph with price with the influence of tariffs. Now this is the first graph I have uploaded is without the influence of the tariff. One second. This is without the influence of tariff. And let me upload the graph. One second. So are all of you following this topic or not with me? Or is it sounding boring? One second. This is the second graph. Right, this is 500 the effect of tariff. Now let's see. How do tariff affect the prices of the products? Tariff increases the prices of imported goods. Because of this, the domestic producers are not forced to reduce their prices from the increased competition, and domestic consumers are left paying higher prices as a result. Now see, the domestic business peoples or the domestic organizations will not be impacted. Right? Why? Why they are not impacted? Because the price of the good product will automatically increase by importing the tax on them. So these domestic manufacturers don't have to reduce the price for given competition to these imported products, right? Because these imported products are already higher in price than the ones which are produced domestically. So ultimately, it will only impact the consumers who will buy the imported goods, because the price difference is high. Yes, very good. That is what they are saying. And domestic consumers are left paying higher prices as a result. Tariffs also reduce the efficiencies by allowing companies that would not exist in a more competitive market to remain open. Figure 1 shows the effect of world trade without the presence of a tariff. In the graph, DS means domestic supply. This blue one. Yeah, this DS means domestic supply, and this DD, this red one, means domestic demand. The price of the goods at home is found at price P. Where is P? Yeah, this one, the price at home. While this P star would be the world price across the globe. At a lower price, domestic consumers will consume QW worth of goods. QW, yeah, this is the amount of goods consumed. But because the home country can only produce up to QD, this is the home country. Home country can produce up to this level, but international, globally, it can be produced up to this point. Right? You can clearly see the difference. Now let's see the second graph. When a tariff or other price increasing policy is put in place, the effect is to increase prices and limit the volume of export. Right now, when there is no tariff, the aim of the government is to increase the pricing policy. That is, the effect is to increase the prices and limit the volume of import. They put the restriction on the amount of the volume of the goods imported. In figure 2, the price increases from the non-tariff P star to P. Now you can see this increases. This is with tariff and this is without tariff. So the more domestic companies are willing to produce the goods, so QD moves right. This QD will move towards the right. The overall effect is a reduction in imports. Reduction in imports, increasing the domestic production and higher consumer prices. This is the price under the effect of a tariff. So this is without and this is with tariff. I said it reverse. So till now clear, everyone? Any doubts? Any questions for me? So that is all for today. That is it for this topic. If anyone has any questions, or we can wind up the class. Okay, so thank you very much for coming to the class. See you tomorrow. Okay, good night. Take care, all of you. Bye bye.